Hi everyone, welcome to another GMAT mixed problem solving session where we help you get closer to your dream score by ensuring that you practice sufficient good type of questions and you also try to learn the best ways in which to solve them. Remember, the two-step process to achieve your dream GMAT score is that of structured preparation followed by mixed problem solving. And as I mentioned in this video, we will be focusing on mixed problem solving. Now, the questions that we will discuss over here are similar to the questions that you will find in the GMAT official advanced questions book. Let's get started. So in this video, we will be solving 3 questions which are of the same type so that you get good practice. And if you see a similar question on the GMAT, you will be able to solve it in the best possible manner in the minimum amount of time and with good accuracy. So that is our aim. And towards the end of the video, we will analyze and try to recollect what we have learned so that we keep consistently building our arsenal to efficiently tackle the GMAT. Now, before you go ahead, do remember to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon, and if you like this type of content, like it, and please let me know in the comment what you think about it. Let's get started. So the first question is on your screen now. Now I'll give you 2 minutes to go ahead and try to attempt this question, and then let's take a look at this together. All right, we are back. I hope you have given it a try. Now let's try to take a look at this together. The question says if m is not equal to 0 and we have this expression over here, m minus 5 minus 4m square by m is equal to y by m. If this is true, then y is equal to. Now over here you can see that the interesting thing is that in the question stem you have variables, right? So over here you have m and y. So over here you have variables in the question stem, and you can see that the answer options. So the answer is asking us about the value of y, right? And you can see that in the answer options you have variables. So the answer options are also in terms of variables. Now if you have such a question, you can say that whatever answer you pick, right, whether it's A or B or whatever, this should hold true for every value of m, right? So for every value of m, like let's say we know the correct answer. Now in the answer, for all the values of m, we should get the corresponding value of y, right? Because for example, if we say that y is equal to 5 minus m square, that means there is a relationship between y and m, and as you keep changing values for m, and the only criteria given is that m is not equal to 0, for all other values of m, we should get the corresponding value of y. Alright, so that can be fairly said because this is given over here. And again, as we mentioned, it's mentioned that m cannot be equal to 0. So this holds true for all other values other than 0. Okay, now to solve these type of questions in the best possible manner, rather than simplifying this quadratic equation and getting to one of these answer options, the best way is to just plug in values. So let's try to do that. For example, let me plug in the value m is equal to 1. Now if m is equal to 1, what happens to this expression over here which is given to us? This becomes 1 minus 5 minus 4 by 1, right? So m square is 1 itself. So 1 minus 5 minus 4 by 1 is equal to y by 1 or y itself. Over here, this simplifies that y is equal to 0, right? Because 5 minus 4, this is also 1, and 1 by 1 is 1. So this becomes 1 minus 1, which is 0. So y is equal to 0. So this means that when m is equal to 1, whichever is the correct answer option among these, the value of y has to simplify to 0. So let's just plug it in over here. So in answer option A, I have minus 5 minus 1 square when m is equal to 1, right? So minus 5 minus 1, that's not equal to 0. So I can eliminate option A. What about option B? 1 minus 5, that's minus 4, that's not equal to 0. So I can eliminate option B. What about option C? 5 into 1 minus 5, that gives me 0. So let me hold this. Remember, you should not immediately go ahead and mark this. You'll see why that is the case as we proceed. But you see that this is working out. You're getting 0 when you plug in the value m is equal to 1. So you hold it. Remember, it's important that you go through all the options. Okay, so we'll see why that is the case. So let's hold this. What about D? In D, when you substitute m is equal to 1, you get 1 minus 5 minus 4. And again, that's also not equal to 0. So we can eliminate option D as well. What about option E? I get 1 minus 5 plus 4. And over here also I'm getting 0, right? 1 minus 5 is minus 4. Minus 4 plus 4 is 0. So option E is also one of the possible options. So we have two contenders. So that's why I told you that in the beginning itself, when you see that C is working out, you should not go ahead and mark that as the correct answer. You have to go through all the options. So this means that one of the options C and E has to be true, because when m is equal to 1, only these two are giving the value of y as equal to 0. Now, when this is the case, that is when you have more than one of the options working out, you have to try another value. So we have seen that C or D is the answer. Now, initially we substituted m is equal to 1, right? Now let's try m is equal to minus 1. Remember, the only criteria is m should not be equal to 0. That's the only thing mentioned over here. So m can be equal to minus 1 as well. So let's substitute this over here. So when m is equal to minus 1, what does this expression over here become? It's minus 1 minus 5 minus 4 into minus 1 square, which is 1 itself, divided by minus 1. So we get this over here, and on the right hand side we have y divided by minus 1. Now 5 minus 4 is 1. 1 divided by minus 1 is minus 1. So this becomes minus 1. Minus of minus 1 becomes 1, right? So this becomes minus 1 plus 1, which is equal to y divided by minus 1. So this over here is 0. So y by minus 1 is 0. That means y is equal to 0. So we have got that even when m is equal to minus 1, y has to simplify to 0. Now we only need to try options C and D. So let's try that. In option C, when you substitute minus 1, you get 5 into minus 1 square, which is 1 itself. So 5 minus 5, that's equal to 0. So yes, option C is working. Now what about option E? When I substitute minus 1 over here, I get minus 1 and then I have minus 5. Minus 1 minus 5 is minus 6, and minus 6 plus 4 is minus 2. It's not equal to 0, right? It's coming to minus 2. So option E is not satisfying this criteria. So we can eliminate option E, and the correct answer is option C. Now think of the possibility that, let's say, the position of these two options was reversed. Let's say option E was at the place where we have option C. If that was the case, if you were not going through all the options and if you just stopped because this was working out, you would have marked the wrong answer. So that's why it's important when you apply this technique to go through all the options and only eliminate. Don't use this technique to select the correct answer. Only use it to eliminate all the wrong answers, and you will be left with one option which is the correct answer. So over here, the correct answer is option C. Let's quickly revise and think about what we did over here. We have seen that in the question stem you have variables, and in the answer options also you have variables. So we have seen that whatever we choose over here should be true for all values of m. That means for all values of m except 0, if you are choosing the correct option from A to E, it should give the correct value of y. And then we just went ahead and substituted m is equal to 1. We got the value of y, and we eliminated all the options which were not simplifying to 0 when m is equal to 1. And then we did the same thing for m is equal to minus 1. We had to do it 2 times because for C as well as for E, this is not D, this is E, right? For C as well as for option E, it was working out when we were trying m is equal to 1. All right, let's proceed to the next question. And do remember to subscribe to this channel so that you get notified whenever we release new content. So you have question number 2 on the screen. Now it's important that this question is similar to the question that we just now solved. Our aim is to solidify whatever you learned. So if you get a similar question, you should have sufficient practice to be able to confidently apply this technique on the exam day and get the question correct in a quick manner with good accuracy. So that is our aim. So I'm giving you 2 minutes. Go ahead and try to solve this question on your own, and then let's take a look at it together. All right, we're back. I hope you have given it a try. Now let's take a look at this together. Now over here also you can see that in the question stem you have variables, and in the answer options you have variables. So as we've discussed, the best way is just to substitute, and when you substitute, remember you should not take n is equal to 0 because that is mentioned in the question stem. All right, so let's go ahead and let's try. So we have this expression over here, and we need to find what's the value of z in terms of n. So that's the question. So when n is equal to 1, let's see what happens. When n is equal to 1, this expression over here becomes 1 minus 7 minus 3 by 1 is equal to z by 1, and this over here is 4, so 1 minus 4 gives you minus 3. So when n is equal to 1, you should get minus 3. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the options, and remember, we are not trying to select the correct answer, but rather we are trying to eliminate every wrong answer. So let's proceed. Option A says minus 7 minus 1, and that's not equal to minus 3, right? So we can eliminate option A. What about option B? It says 1 minus 7, that's minus 6, which is not minus 3. So we can eliminate option B as well. What about option C? It's 3 minus 7. 3 minus 7 is minus 4. It's not minus 3. So we can eliminate option C. What about option D? Similarly, that's 1 minus 7 minus 3, right? And that's not minus 3. This is minus 9, right? So option D is also out, and we are only left with option E. When you substitute it over here, you get 1 minus 7 plus 3, and that's equal to minus 3. Now in this case, you can see that we only had one option working out, and therefore you can see that it was very quick to apply this method and solve this question rather than going ahead and simplifying this with into a quadratic equation, and then this is already a quadratic equation. Simplifying this and getting the value of z in terms of n, it will take you much more time rather than this method. All right, now you have already done 2 questions which are of the same type. It will be very beneficial for you to go ahead and do one more question right away, so that you strengthen your memory and you're very thorough with this method. And if you get a similar question on the exam day, you will be able to solve it in a quick manner with good accuracy. So let's take a look at question number 3. So you have question number 3 on the screen now. Now I'm giving you 2 minutes. Go ahead and try to solve this on your own, and then let's take a look at it together. Alright, we are back. I hope you have given it a try. Now over here also you can see that the question stem has variables and the answer options are in terms of variables. It's mentioned that p is not equal to 0, and we have to find out what is the value of w in terms of p. Now as we've discussed, if we are choosing the correct answer option, it should give the corresponding value of w for every value of p, given that we are not taking p equal to 0 because that's mentioned in the question stem. Alright, so let's go ahead and substitute. So let's start with p is equal to 1. When p is equal to 1, what happens to this equation or this statement over here, this equation over here? We get 1 minus 4 minus 5 by 1 is equal to w by 1. So this simplifies to 1 minus minus 1, alright, and 1 minus minus 1 is equal to 2, right? So over here you have minus 1. So 1 minus minus 1 is equal to 2. So when p is equal to 1, w has to be equal to 2. So that's what we are trying to evaluate. Now let's take a look at the options and eliminate the wrong options. Remember, we are not trying to select the correct answer. We are trying to eliminate the wrong answers. So let's take a look. Option A says minus 4 minus p square. So minus 4 minus 1, that's not equal to 2, right? So we can eliminate option A. What about option B? It says 1 minus 4, which is minus 3. That's not equal to 2. So we can eliminate option B as well. What about option C? It's 5 minus 4. That's equal to 1, and that's not 2. So we can eliminate option C as well. Now, what about option D? We have 1 minus 4 minus 5. And again, that's definitely not equal to 2, right? So this is minus 8. So we can eliminate option D as well. And option E says 1 minus 4 plus 5, which is equal to 2, and that is our correct answer. So we were able to eliminate these 4 options by just plugging in this value. We were looking for w equal to 2 when p is equal to 1. So the correct answer to this question is option E. Alright, so we have solved 3 questions of the same type. Now let's solidify our learning and strengthen our GMAT prep so that if you get a similar question for the GMAT, you will be able to solve it very quickly. You'll be doing much better than others who don't know about this technique, and that will help differentiate yourself. Alright, now do remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that whenever we post more content for you, you'll be notified, and it'll help you take out a few minutes out of your busy schedule every day and practice mixed problems, which will ensure that you don't do silly mistakes on the exam. Now coming back, let's quickly analyze what we learned over here, and let's try to improve our wisdom or our knowledge and strengthen our arsenal and be more prepared or better prepared for the GMAT. So over here we had questions where in the question stem we saw we had variables, and the answer option was also in terms of variables. So we have seen that the correct answer option should be true for all values except the given exception. Like in this case, the exception was some values was mentioned not to be equal to 0. So whenever you plug in, don't take values as per the exception. So you can take any other value. Now, the way in which we approached this was just substitute and eliminate the wrong answer options. Remember, we are not trying to select the correct answer. We are trying to eliminate the wrong ones. Therefore, it's important to check all the options. And in case you have two options or more than one option for which the relationship is working for the value that you have plugged in, ensure that you go ahead and take another value and try it. Now, let's say it's working for 3. When you're substituting the second value, you were able to eliminate only 1. Still, let's say it's working out for 2 answer options. In that case, you'll have to go ahead simply and take one more value so that you're only left with finally one option, and that would be the correct answer. All the best in your preparation. Keep practicing, because remember, the more you practice, the better you'll get, and you will not be doing any silly mistakes on the exam, and you will be able to achieve your dream GMAT score.